Hey everyone, welcome to the intro of episode 26 of the This Isn't Funny Anymore podcast. I'm Chris.
My name is Phil.
Today, we did a little impromptu Valentine's Day episode.
Yeah,
For
down.
The first part of it, so we did a list. I won't tell you what it is, but Jake Jarvie will be happy about it.
Yeah, it's our Valentine's Day list.
Yep.
And we didn't have a lot of news, but we
should talk about romances in games. Like, we should have talked about, I guess we already did with Caitlin, but like Mass Effect romances or other games that have romances.
I'd have to. I couldn't do impromptu.
No,
because the only thing that would come to mind would be Mass Effect.
Yeah, and Catherine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked a little news after our impromptu Valentine's Day massacre.
Yep.
Not much there, so then we just dove into games. I talk about Don't Starve and a game called Elemental.
And then I talked about the Battlefield Hardline beta.
Then I talk my impressions of Grim Fandango remaster and Life is Strange.
Then I also talked about iDarb, the Draws a Red Box game that was free this month on Xbox One.
Yeah. And that's it.
Little sports title.
It's just a games episode.
Yeah, it's just a standard episode.
Yeah, we
with
actually have new games to talk about.
Yeah.
So, hopefully you guys like the episode.
I like the episode. It should have been our sign-off.
Yeah.
I'll throw it at the end.
Okay.
Hashtag full penny.
The tiny one's bottom shelf. It says Hot Dog Chicago.
Yeah.
But right under it says Hot Chocolate. And I always read it as Hot Dog Chocolate. And I'm just like, how is there a book on just Hot Dog Chocolate? And what is that?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's desserts that are shaped like hot dogs.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just all these big pieces of turds.
Yeah.
Any whoozleby. I don't know what that was.
No, I don't either.
Welcome to This Isn't Funny More podcast. My name is Phil.
I'm Chris.
And we are on episode 25.
Yep.
We are a quarter of the way through the finish line.
Yep.
Meaning that 100 is the max episodes.
Right.
If we don't have 100 followers by 100 episodes, we're calling it quits.
Okay. Yeah. You always like to challenge the audience.
I'm just saying.
This is yet another one. I'm not saying you haven't followed through with any of them, but you're putting a lot on their shoulders all the time.
Well, we just need 100 followers by 100 episodes.
Okay.
All follower an episode. It should be easy. We're already at 15 followers at 25 episodes.
Yep.
But
that number keeps going down.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe if we were better at social media. I think that's our main problem. Because our viewership, our downloads are going up every month.
Yeah. Maybe people just don't care about our Twitter.
Yeah, because Aaron Peterson, he sent in an email and he sent us trivia and he doesn't follow us on Twitter. So
we should just ask somebody to email us how many fans we have.
Yeah, how are they going to do that?
I imagine they talk amongst themselves.
Right. I'm sure there's Tumblrs about this podcast.
Yeah, we just don't know about it.
Yeah.
So if they could elect one person to just email us just a number of how many fans we have.
Do you think it's like a running joke in the fan community to not let us know that they're out there?
Oh, God, probably. God, they have so many good jokes, though.
Yeah.
Chris, what are we going to talk about today?
I have no idea. I was hoping you would tell me.
So I had a couple ideas in my head.
Okay.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's my head sound.
Mm-hmm.
One, without any precursor, we could make a Valentine's Day episode.
Ooh.
We could talk about the greatest romances in video games.
And we could do Jake's List episode of sexiest men and
sexiest women.
Yeah.
But then I never texted you that option.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to play on the spot.
Yeah. Is the answer Catherine to all of those things?
No.
Okay.
Maybe sexiest woman, maybe she's up there.
Yeah.
Because she has sex. And she's a woman.
Let's just do impromptu right now. Let's just do
oh, okay.
Let's go for it.
Alright. Let's start sexiest dudes.
Okay, that's the one that I can't even think of one person for.
Come on. Commander Shepard.
Okay.
He's got to be up there.
But see, yeah, I guess it would have to be the default.
Default Commander Shepard.
Yeah.
This is no ranking.
Yeah.
We're just going to give five people that maybe we can agree on.
Okay.
So we got Commander Shepard.
Yeah. Nathan Drake?
Nathan Drake's got to be up there. We
Okay.
got. I mean, probably like. I don't know if can you count. Let's pause.
Okay.
Can you count people who are in things other than video games? Like for instance, there's Star Wars video games, but those are from the movie universe. It's Indiana Jones video games that are from the movie universe. Can I say Indiana Jones is a sexy man, even though he didn't originate in video games?
Yes, but you would have to you'd be talking about the Lego version of Indiana Jones, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, but there was supposed to be that awesome Indiana Jones game.
There was one for the original Xbox.
Did that ever come out? Because I remember
Yes,
following that for
I
a long
have it.
time. Okay, and it was like cool. There was like cool finding animations and all this other
loved
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
I might go play it again.
Okay.
I won't, but I'll say so for the podcast.
Yeah, back in the day, that was when I was on GameSpot all the time, and I was following games. You get emails when new things came out, and that was one of the games that I followed for a year, and then didn't buy it when it came out.
Yeah.
To the point where I forgot it came out until right now.
Yeah. And now you're gonna go buy it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to get back to the sexy dude episode.
Yeah. So are we at 2 or are we at 3?
At 2. I won't count Lego Indie. I just wanted to know for future in case something pops into my head.
Okay.
I think we can all agree that while I'm speaking,
you thought it was just going to come to you?
something will come to me. But
the snowman from All Before Sunset.
I don't know that.
Sunrise. That's our game that we made up last episode.
What about Master Chief? I mean, sure, you don't see him. He's got the sexy voice, so he's
okay. That's
he's
another
built.
thing. Yeah, it doesn't the sexiest dude, but it doesn't have to do with a physical appearance because you don't know. It's all based on personality and his actions, which I think is really what's the sexiest.
He saves the day, so he's a hero.
He saves the universe.
You know what, though? I bet
Constantly.
Master Chief is probably a dick. Waiting in line at, a Starbucks. He's probably impatient.
You think he's waited in line? You think he's ever waited in a line before?
Well, because, he probably doesn't want people to know it's Master Chief. So, when he's just in...
Oh, it takes off the stuff...
Yeah, when he's in line, he's...
I don't think he's taken off that armor since they gave it to him originally.
You think it's just stuck on?
Yeah.
So he has to... How do you drink through... Does the visor come
Okay,
off?
So... No. You can take the helmet off. I mean, it's a separate piece. But
he leaves the shoulder.
The suit perfectly helps him use 100% of his body mass all the time. The sweat then gets turned into energy, and he doesn't have to go to the bathroom or anything because it's all just recycling everything all the time. As far as I know, they don't need to eat when they're in it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and they just live in it. And also, they're for the according
You'd
to
be good at basketball.
And according to the novels, they're super weird about their appearance because they got augmented. When they were teenagers.
Yeah,
and all their skin is super white and scarred because they've been wearing their skin hasn't seen sunlight in decades, and they're all scarred up from the augmentation. So they usually don't take off their stuff.
Speaking of disgusting,
too much?
I thought of our fourth guy.
Okay,
Thane from Mass Effect. He was created to be for the ladies.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Just because I know Caitlin likes Thane so much.
Yeah,
she likes her some Thane. And because I probably won't be able to think of any other characters.
Yeah, so that's why we got to fill up this list.
Can we say Batman from the Arkham series?
Oh yeah, we could say Batman.
Okay.
We can even say Batman from the Lego series.
Yeah,
if we want to.
Yeah. That would be 5, right?
That'd be 5. I mean, do we have any off the top of my head? Nope.
No.
I mean, if I'm going deep into the recesses,
yeah.
I would say that there's probably some old school guys. It's just hard to picture them in today's world.
Yeah, they would have to be the super 8-bit squunched down version. It's how do you find
because Link, you'd be maybe Link's sexy because he just does his
maybe
bidding.
as a woman.
No, that's Zelda.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, he's a little boy with long hair. He looks more like a little girl than a sexy man.
They need to do a reboot. And they make
Yeah.
them just like hard. Not like that. Okay, we have our 5. Happy Valentine's
Yeah.
Day. Now let's do our 5 sexy ladies.
Okay. Hopefully this will be easier for us. If this takes us more time, it's a little troubling.
I think, obviously, Lara Croft's on there.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going to do the counterparts, I think, to the other things that we said. That'd be the easiest way to do it. So we got...
What? You're saying like the opposites of the males?
Yeah, well, Lara Croft... Okay,
Is
so
the,
Lara
is the
Croft
opposite of Nathan Drake.
is... Yeah,
But
but Nathan
yeah.
Drake is the opposite of her.
Yeah.
Because it's like Lara Croft is the female Indiana Jones, and Nathan Drake is the male Lara Croft.
Yeah. Okay. New Lara Croft.
Yeah, new Lara Croft.
For sure. I'll go, this is personal,
Uh-huh.
but Final Fantasy X, there's a character, Riku.
Oh.
You
You have a body pillow with her on it, don't you?
I do. I have a body pillow.
Yeah.
And it's, I was, 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, and they do a little cutscene. She gets out of the water. The pan up while she's taking her water suit out.
Yeah, her
was like-
water suit out?
Water suit off.
Okay.
And I was like, what's this awakening in my body?
Yep. What are these tingles in my dangle?
Yeah. What do I do with this?
Yeah.
And I just started humping everything.
So that's when that started.
Yeah. It was late, apparently.
Yeah.
I was like 15 years old. All right, so that's 2.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Cortana then.
Well,
Just
yeah,
'cause like I said,
new
Cortana.
Cortana.
She's just a naked woman.
If-
They used like a model to do her. Like they modeled her after a model, and then just made her naked.
Yeah. I have no complaints.
Yeah, okay.
I imagine
Yeah.
Master Chief is secretly banging her.
Yeah.
I feel like we should. We were talking about Catherine. Let's put
Yeah.
Catherine in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you don't know what she looks like,
Not really. No.
but I mean,
Describe her. Why does she deserve to be on this list?
she doesn't.
Okay. Yeah, you were hoping I was going to ask that?
I mean, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying not to use the opposites. Like, sure,
Okay.
I could say Miranda from Mass Effect because she's essentially supposed to be the perfect specimen, right? That's how she was created.
Yeah, but I don't think it I don't know if it really achieved that goal.
I mean, I don't think...
I think there's more attractive people in Mass Effect than Miranda.
Okay. That's fine.
Do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't think Miranda's the hottest of the hots.
Right. Who is the hottest of the hots for you, other than Thane?
Well, if I can't go Thane, and I can't go Morden,
Yeah.
and I can't do...
Grunt?
And I can't do the female Krogan...
Yeah.
Well, I'm not all the way through 3 because I'm really sad on my ass on that one. But I would say that personality-wise,
Ooh.
it was Tali. But obviously,
You don't know what she looks like.
don't
right?
know what she looks like.
Yeah.
The Asari never did anything for me. I know she's a sexy blue alien.
Yeah, there's like a couple of Asaris.
Yeah, either of them, any
Okay.
of them.
Yeah.
So that really, like, as terrible as it is, it leaves humans. Ugh.
Right.
And then
Who
you got
wants
your
humans?
Ashley, you got your Miranda.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, from the first game, busted. She looks weird to me. Like, she doesn't look normal, let alone attractive. In the third game, she's better, but because I hated her personality so much, I don't even look at her.
And,
Because you killed her off? Yeah.
yeah, so only Caden was
Yeah.
alive. Spoiler?
I mean, Jack, I don't know. I think Jack in 2 was kind of appealing.
I've learned a
Just
lot
saying.
about you today.
I don't know. Like, I chose her as one of my relationship choices.
Sure.
Just because it was different, and...
I like Jack as a person.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think 3 she looks better than 2. Where she's kind of grew some hair.
Yeah, she's
And
got like the
doesn't just
Skrillex haircut in the
doesn't
third
just wear
one.
like a belt.
Well, because she's like a teacher for young kids now, so she can't be naked in front of them all the time. Just some of the time.
Just some of the time.
Yeah.
Okay. We are actually taking longer with
I
this
know.
than the males.
Liara, that was her name.
Liara.
This whole time I was trying to waste time to think of her name. But yeah, it was Liara. I thought she was better looking than Miranda sometimes. Sometimes.
So we got to pick one person for Mass Effect. And I'll give you, since I took Riku from Final Fantasy, I'll give you Jack. Because that's your pick.
I just think it's different. We'll say that.
That's fine.
Okay. Is that, what are we at?
I think we're at 4.
4? I mean, I would say either Harley Quinn or Poison Ivy from the Arkham series. You haven't played it yet, so you don't know.
No.
But if their designs, all the female, I mean, all the male and female designs for that game were awesome. Yeah, but Catwoman was like the least attractive out of all of them, I think.
I would have to go based on my Batman knowledge as Poison Ivy, because Harley Quinn I know is like messed up in the head. So then I'd
we were talking about just based on looks. I would say Poison Ivy for sure.
Okay.
But I don't know, the character model of Harley Quinn is pretty awesome. I'm going to have to pull it up so you can see it.
It's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up.
That's our 5, though.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't need to look it up now. This wasn't even supposed to be a Valentine's Day episode.
I know.
We were just giving something for the listeners. Because obviously Valentine's Day, big holiday for them.
For the listeners?
For the listeners.
Yeah. They're probably going to spend it listening to this episode, but they can't, even though by the time it comes out, it'll be too late.
Yeah, well, maybe they're celebrating on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. There goes all that nastiness out of the way. I'm still going Poison Ivy.
Yeah. I just wanted to show you, and then I'll show you. Let's see.
Now I'm torn.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't look as good as old school cartoon Batman Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
It's just like the green dress.
Uh-huh.
And the red hair. That kind of looks vampiric.
Yeah. She's wearing like a bikini out of like
vines.
Ivy.
And we didn't list Bayonetta.
Of course. She was too sexy to make the list, I think.
Yeah. She'd be on her own list of super sexy.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, feel free to tweet us or email us any of your picks for sexiest men or women.
Yep.
Actually, you know what? Here's the rule. If you pick one sex, you have to do the other. You can't just send us a woman. If you were a man and you're just like, no, I want to talk about how I find Catherine sexy.
Uh-huh.
You also have to give me a male that is sexy.
Yeah.
We've got to be fair.
Right. Yeah, you got to do one from each. I know nobody wants to do dudes, except
Yeah.
for Jake apparently, couldn't wait for us to do this episode.
He's calling in right now.
Yeah.
He heard that we were going to talk about it. Okay. What do you got from news? Do you got any news?
I mean, not really. So, a couple of games have come out that we've talked about. So, Dying Light came out.
Yep.
What'd you hear about that?
For Dying Light, I've heard yay. I've heard better than, obviously, Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide and Dead Island Fantasy Factory or whatever the MTV show is.
Yep.
And Dying Light, they take it more seriously, and it's...
Even though the story's not super great.
Yeah, even though the story's still garbage.
It's probably less racist, and... that's just a probably.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they focused more on the parkour than the just brutal killing of zombies.
But really, even after reading reviews, it still reads the same to me as Dead Island. Like, people are raving more about Dying Light. They're just like, oh, it's so much more fun to jump from building to building and kill somebody with a machete.
Uh-huh.
But, like, all the screenshots and the videos, and even, like, their words, I'm just like, you're just describing Dead Island.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it can be that much better.
I mean,
the controls are going to be
on paper, it's the exact same game.
Yeah.
Even watching videos of it, it looks like almost exactly the same game, other than like the color palette's a little bit more, brown and mundane. But that doesn't mean that the game itself might have, a little bit more magic in it.
Yeah. I don't know. To me...
It's not a must-buy for me.
No, it's definitely a wait. I can wait till it's...
super cheap.
A bargain bin.
Yeah.
Because...
But it didn't end up coming out in 360, right?
No. But I have a computer now.
Yeah, that's true.
Magical computer.
Uh-huh. Also, there's, a glitch where it's wiping everyone's progress. You hear about that?
No.
Yeah.
I heard that's for Evolve.
There's Evolve also, and for Game of Thrones Episode 2.
Okay.
Every game that came out the last week or two has had a glitch where it wipes your progress.
That's good.
Yeah.
They've all worked together on that glitch.
Yeah, so that was a nice transition to Evolve. So Evolve came out. and everyone that I mean, I've only sort of read reviews here and there. I actually was watching a couple of Twitch. It seems to be saying this is a great game for the right people.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you have friends, if you got a bunch of friends, you got to buy this game. Like, this is a game that you got to have. You'll have so much fun with your friends. You'll have fun playing. If you're not, if you're or looking to just go in matchmaking, then they're like, probably you're not going to get a lot out of it, which is kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about even when you were
Yeah.
just talking about the beta, is that it really boiled down to, like, have you played Left 4 Dead? Did you enjoy Left 4 Dead? You'll enjoy Evolve.
Yeah.
If you played Left 4 Dead and you played it by yourself, you probably didn't have that much fun out of it, so it'll probably be the same for Evolve.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it now, it's kind of like trying to play hide and go seek. It's like, if you're playing with your friends, it's more fun, but if you're playing with random strangers, it gets a little bit weird and it gets old fast.
When everyone hides in that guy's van.
Yeah, so it's less fun.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what the game is, you know? It's just hide and go seek with monsters and guns.
I agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything I've read kind of backs that up, too.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, hey, we're having a lot of fun with it because we're playing it in the office with a bunch of people. When we take it online and matchmaking play with random people, we're having less fun.
Yeah, I mean, these two games are perfect games to be released right now in this sort of window, this gap between, you know, it's not the fall rush of all those huge games.
Yeah, it's the lull, because usually end of February is when all the people who push back their Christmas games start to come out, end of February, early March. But right now, this is still like... Everyone still has their games from Christmas.
Yeah,
that they're
but it's a good
through.
like buffer game because it's kind of like, you know, it's not that much. It's kind of just one note, but it's also fun and you can waste some time with it until the, you know, June, I guess.
Yep.
Things like that. But yeah, I mean, this game Evolve was supposed to come out in October, and they pushed it back like a month before it came out. I can only imagine what kind of game it would have been if it came out back then. Yeah. Certainly, we would have already forgotten about it by now. But
it is what it is.
Yep.
My only news is that Lego has announced that they are making Jurassic Park.
Yep.
And another Avengers game.
Yeah. To tie in with the movie.
And I am super optimistic for both. One, the Avengers game, if it's anything like the first one.
Like the Marvel game?
The Marvel game.
Yeah.
That was my favorite out of all the Lego games I've played. So if they could just do that again and just don't make me have to be Hawkeye so much.
Yeah.
And it'll get points for me. And Jurassic Park.
Everyone's super excited for this game.
Everyone's super excited because Jurassic Park, the movies, 2, 3, maybe the new one.
Yeah.
Might not be great. But if you're making Jurassic Park Lego, you know it's all just going to be fun and who gives a shit. There's not going to be like the serious tone that falls flat and the things that don't make sense. It's just like, it's a Lego game. We can forget all about that.
Yeah, I mean, even the trailer was like the jaw-dropping trailer for the new Lego game, and it was the T-Rex roaring and then his jaw literally fell off.
Yeah.
And it's you know, though I think just the style lends itself really well. Like it's fun to see like dinosaurs and all the like worlds and like because it's a little theme park, so that's all fun.
Yeah.
And the way they're doing it is it's going to cover all the movies. So it's going to be the first 3 movies and the movie that hasn't come out yet. So it's going to be released about the same time. Also, they are doing physical Lego sets as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
It'll be weird to play through.
As
Jurassic
Chris
Park
Pratt?
2.
Okay.
No, because it's like T-Rex in the city. So it'll...
If they end up doing the T-Rex when it comes back on the boat.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do that. Unless if you were playing as the dinosaur.
Well, you can play as Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And you just drive around in the car and you try and get the dinosaur to follow you back to the boat. I mean,
Yeah.
how long have you seen the movie?
I mean, come on.
But that's the only news I have.
Okay. Also, I guess we talked about this in person before, but Sony Online Entertainment was sold. So Sony sold off their first-party game developer.
Yeah, they're the people who did EverQuest. And H1Z1.
Yeah, and that's more recently. Like some notable games over the years.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of them.
Right, and during the press conference of like announcing that they were sold and stuff, I forgot the new name of company, but they're like, oh, we're really excited to make games for Xbox. So that's cool. I mean, just because they can go multi-platform now. I mean, they're not going to do probably old games and all of a sudden release them now on Xbox. But then more recently, now they've announced that they've fired like half of the staff.
Yeah.
Which was kind of expected, but...
It'll be interesting based to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Because you look at their old games and you're like, yeah, these were great. But obviously, like you said, they're not going to rehash those.
Yeah.
And they're still not going to want to sever ties completely with Sony and just develop
for
Microsoft. Because then they
loses
chop
their
off one
benefit
to go to the other one.
Yeah.
So again, it'll be interesting. I don't know what they have in store.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think anybody does.
Right.
Except for the people that work there. I think they also had a hand in making Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Obviously, Square owns
Onyx.
that. Yeah, Square Enix, Square Onyx, Squarespace, Square.com.
Uh-huh.
They're the ones that obviously own the property, so it's not like Sony could port that to the Xbox. But notable games.
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy's on the Xbox.
Yeah.
So.
But like now the old ones.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about you, but for today's episode, I just have new games that I could talk about.
Okay, I got a couple games that I can talk about.
Good. This is a good discussion we're having.
And you have 4 games, so why don't you go first?
Okay. Which one do you want to hear first? Not knowing the list.
Yeah, 7.
Okay, well, there's only 4.
Okay, 2.
2. Okay. A game that came with my system was free. It's a game called Don't Starve. People may have heard of it.
Uh-huh.
It's out on all the systems. I think. Is maybe not for Microsoft? I don't know. Maybe not Xbox. Not important.
I don't know. I think it is. I don't care.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. What you do in this game is you play as a character, right? So far, so good.
Yep.
And you were dropped onto, I guess, an island. We'll just call it an island.
Yeah.
And it's kind of Minecraft / it's like a crafting game.
Uh-huh.
So you go and you can gather resources. You know, you can pull grass, you can chop down trees. Then you get items, and then those you can craft to make something else. So, like, to make a fire, you need flint and, whatever, wood and some grass to keep it going.
Uh-huh.
It's a day and night cycle. So, obviously, shit gets dark, and when it gets dark, monsters come out. Also, you can kind of engage in the monsters in the morning. But, here's the thing. I've heard a lot of great things about this game. There's a reason that they've ported it to, everything. And I need somebody to explain to me how I'm supposed to be playing this game. Because, here's my thing, right? I haven't played it a lot. I've maybe played it 3 or 4 times. I haven't starved, first of all.
That's what I was going to ask you. So are you... It's obviously you're trying to stay alive.
Yes.
But also involved in staying alive, are you constantly trying to find food?
So you have like 3 stats, right? You have a hunger.
Yeah.
You have like health,
and
then you have like sanity, because you can go insane. Those are like the only 3 things you have to worry about. Obviously, hunger slowly goes down. Health, if you take damage, goes down.
So it's like
up.
The Sims, kind of.
Yeah, and then you have a sanity, which is like the more time you spend in dark, that goes up. The more time you like fight creatures, that goes up. The more times you just like build campfires and stay alive, that goes down. Whatever it is. So I've heard that this game's difficult. I've heard that people, play it endlessly. Like, I've walked a good portion of the map, gathering every, damn thing I can find, and then just, when it's nighttime, I build a campfire, and I eat,
wherever you are, you don't go back to,
Nope,
yeah.
and I eat a carrot that I have in my thing, and then it's just, I wait till morning, and then I start again, and I have yet to find the draw in this game.
So there doesn't appear to be any sort of end game, right?
No, I don't think this game has an end game. If it does, then I have yet to understand what the point of it is.
It's literally just stay alive, right?
Yeah. I think it's one, it's one of those, it's like Minecraft, it's like Terraria, it's like all those games where it's just look what you can do and you can build things. And I know you can build things in this. You can build, storage locker to put your shit and build better axes and yada, yada, yada. It's I don't
Maybe that's what you're supposed to be doing. Even though the game says don't starve, you're not supposed to focus on that because that seems to be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Is just be alive, and then actually you're supposed to enjoy your time just in the sandbox.
Yeah. I think I just don't understand these games.
Right. Have you played Minecraft before?
For like a hot second.
Yeah.
And then I was just like...
What's the point?
I'll just build my own real house.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minecraft, I understand the appeal of Minecraft. Because that people can go to your world and you can build some crazy shit. And you
and
like,
it's just the technology's fun. Like, oh, if I dig, then there's a hole here, and now there's like another layer of things, so I can pick that up and make that into a house, and then...
I understand Minecraft in terms of the open sandbox crafting. And Terraria was a game I downloaded a demo of on Xbox 360, and I think it ported to the One. On that one, there's actually had bosses to fight. So you have crafting, and you dig, and you build your house, and it's just like Minecraft, except for there's also boss battles. So you're also like working towards, I'd almost say it's like Rogue Legacy, where you're I want to get so much stone so then I can build a better sword, so then I can go fight this dragon, kind of thing. But this one... I don't know.
Well, maybe it's just we're at the age where, like, you know, like Craig was talking about, like, we do certain things in our normal life, so we don't need a game to simulate chores all the time.
So just cutting down grass and trees and remembering to eat a carrot, and I'm just like, ugh.
Right?
I've done this. This is called life.
Yeah, exactly. Always trying to eat that carrot.
Yeah. I mean, so, not to always keep putting things on our listeners, but if anyone has any idea of maybe what I'm supposed to be getting out of it, then I can center myself when I play. Because right now I'm just like, I walk everywhere, I gather everything. Because I'm just like, who knows when I'm going to need this shit. I have bee stingers and butterfly wings and all this stuff that I've looked through the inventory and there's nothing I can craft with them. But I can pick them up for some reason.
Do you have unlimited storage space?
No. You have a limit. But, like, you have, like, it's stackable. So if you get, like, a log that takes up one square, and then it just has a number next to it.
Okay.
So it's like, you have 99 logs, and I have 20 this.
What kind of, like, things do you encounter at night?
Well, most of the time I just have a campfire.
No, but I mean, like, you said, like, things come out.
Oh, yeah, so there's, like, different monsters that come out.
Yeah.
That just kind of, their goal is to eat you. And I imagine...
How do you deal with them? Like,
well, see, they're afraid of light.
So at least fire, you just sit by the
like,
fire?
Yeah, so, like, I build a fire, and then, like, once I have a fire going, if I'm, like, that slowly goes out. So you have to, like, keep adding things to it. But you can also, like, make a torch, and then you can have a torch and kind of go out. And, like, scavenge at night. So, I don't know.
I feel like you have a lot of other games that you could be spending your time with.
Yeah, probably. But, you know, I can't just constantly keep talking about NBA 2K15.
No. But at the same time, you can probably play like BioShock or Batman or something.
Not until I beat Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Is that all of it then?
Yeah, we can move off of Don't Starve.
Okay. So I played the Battlefield Hardline, which I guess a lot of people did. I think they released a figure like 6 million people played it.
I heard that it was quite the number.
Yeah, it was quite a number.
It beat Destiny's beta,
right,
in terms of numbers.
Obviously, this is a well-established franchise, and it's a military shooter, so those are always popular. So, I mean, if you're a fan of Battlefield, you're gonna like this game. It's very Battlefield-y, which I guess is what it should be. I kind of wanted something different.
Yeah.
The spinoffs, like, there's only kind of been one spinoff of this before, which was the Bad Company series, which everybody really liked, and I really liked it too. But what made that special was the campaign. Like, the campaign was a lot different. You got involved with, like, the characters, and it was kind of fun and silly. So that side of it, we don't know. We don't know what the single-player experience is like. And based on the videos, it does seem very different from just the military shooter. Like, you have the option to, like, arrest people, and, like, you can go stealthy or not. And it's, like, just you're not, like, with a bunch of people shooting missiles and stuff all the time. And there was 3 different game types to play in the demo. One was just straight up, I think it was called Heist. So it was, like, 2 sides, capture and defend. So, if you're the cops, you gotta... protect the bank vault, and the bad guys try to come in and just basically capture a briefcase and then run out with it.
Your standard game mode.
So yeah, and that was just like, unless if you looked at the character models, you wouldn't know that you weren't playing Battlefield 4. Like, it looked exactly the same.
Well, because doesn't it use the same engine that Battlefield 4 is?
Yeah.
And I remember people complaining about that.
But, like, even, like, all the UI looks exactly the same. Like, literally, if you took a screenshot, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Then there was, like, a large Conquest mode. And Conquest is, where you capture different points.
It's your King of the Hill.
Yeah, it's kind of King of the Hill, but it's like, so you have this thing they call tickets, right? And if you capture more points, then anytime you kill somebody, it's worth more, or vice versa. So it's like it'll tick down if you don't have any points, or if you get shot. So it's a combination of capturing a point and getting killed, or getting kills. But the standout of this entire beta was a mode called Hotwire. So it was the same thing where it was Conquest, but the capture points were cars. So you would have to get in cars and drive them around. Like, you had to be going a certain speed to be, count as being captured. They
finally made speed the game after all the emails I sent.
Right. But it is so much fun. It's like just crazy and fun. You're constantly just driving around with cars. There's other vehicles too. There's like motorcycles and helicopters and all this other stuff, and other just regular sedans or whatever that aren't capture points. So there's just crazy mayhem, and it's so much fun. And you can like spawn in the cars with your buddies. And there's different kind of cars too. Like, there's sedans, there's vans, there's oil tankers. Like, all these things are capture points.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, if you're driving around an oil tanker, like, it's super good and big. But when it blows up, because so you can, the only way you can capture it is to blow it up, and then another one respawns. Like, if an enemy team gets in it, you have to kill it then.
What if they just get out for pizza? Can you then?
You can jump in it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like, you
gotta lure them with the pizza.
The idea, but the idea is like destruction.
Yeah.
And like mayhem. And
that's why I'm never good at those games. Because I don't want to kill anybody. I just want them to get out and maybe go to the bank
just,
real
knock
quick.
on the door.
Yeah. I try and stand in the way, and I just like slow down, and then they hit me with the car, and then I have to respawn. It's awful.
Yeah. Well, while I was playing, it was just constantly capturing game videos. Like, every 10 seconds, it was like, game clip recorded. Because it does it every time you get promoted, which was happening a lot in the beta. I don't know if it's just because it was the beta and it was trying to get you through everything.
Yeah.
Also, if you have like a super long point streak, it does it. So like, if you were, getting a lot of multi-kills or doing all that stuff, it would capture however long it was. But in this mode, because you were in cars, you were constantly getting points for doing stuff. So I had videos that were like 2.5, 3 minutes.
It was just you driving around.
It was just me driving around doing stuff. Like, stuff was happening during it, but, anyways, I could throw some videos up of playing if you want, but it was just a lot of fun. Like, the first match I was in this game type, I was in the back of a van, right? So you can like lean out the window, you can shoot through the glass, you can do all these different stuff, but we have a 5-person van basically. So we got a driver, we got a guy, passenger seat, guy in the side door, 2 guys in the back. So it's me and this other guy in the back, and we're racing down this desert place, and there's a motorcycle behind us and 2 other cars, one of which is their capture point and one is not, and we just have grenade launchers, and we're just constantly shooting them, and they're trying to avoid it and try to get up to us, and it was just crazy and fun. Oh, another cool thing too is like there's radio stations, so when you're in the cars, there's like music playing the whole time. And they did a really good job of picking licensed music.
Okay, so they got Aha's Take on Me?
Yeah. No, I don't know. There's only like a handful of songs right now.
Yeah.
And they're all, pretty good. It's all like cops and robbers sort of themes, or like classic rock.
Do they have Convoy?
No. I mean, I don't know. I didn't go through all the songs. You have to be driving to be able to pick the radio station. But there's like, Stranglehold, the Ted Nugent song.
I don't know my Ted Nugent as well.
If you heard it, you would recognize it. But there's like some rap music and stuff too that has to do with police.
Cop Killer?
Yeah. But another map too, which was more of a city map that had multiple levels, because it was kind of like an overpass, and it was kind of like a thing down. There's like the whole levolution thing too. Like, somebody blew up a crane and then it crashed down and it made a new hole and stuff. That was exciting and scary. But I'm driving. I'm in the backseat of a sedan. There's another sedan passing us, and in the city street, there's a lot of like turns and curves and stuff. So I kept trying to shoot him with a grenade launcher, and I couldn't get there because we kept swerving so much. So I shot out the back window and I threw a grenade just as we were coming around the corner. And then you can see on the bottom of the screen like the kill counter come up, that I killed all the guys in the car, and then like the frame of the car on fire then slides around the corner behind us. It was just so much fun. It was just so great. There was just these great like big epic moments just all the time.
Well, because that's what Battlefield 4 was promoting too. Is these big epic moments where it's just like, watch us take out the entire floor of a building and then watch it collapse kind of situation.
They didn't really happen that often in a match though. Like, even when it was, like, the whole, like I said, Levolution thing, which is, like, when the actual level changes dramatically.
Yeah.
You know, those had to be triggered by certain things, and it happened only once a match. Because once you destroyed a building or blew up something, then that's how it was for the rest of the map.
Yeah.
Which was fun. And when it happened, it was like, oh, this is fun and big and interesting. But this was, like, dynamic, because it was based on the people that are playing, and it's not the same every time, and it's not just one time. It was. I mean, certainly there's a lot of fun vehicle combat in the Battlefield series, but this just felt different and fun. Like, it was a little bit more lighthearted. Another point of that, I don't know if you've seen the videos going around, but there's special reload animations for all the guns.
Yeah.
So they say it's like 1 in 10,000, but because the new consoles all have access to, video recording, game recording, almost all of them have been found already. Just because it's so easy to record something.
Yeah.
So some of the fun ones is like for a pistol reload, a 6-shooter pistol revolver is like the guy is flipping the bullets up like they're coins, and he's flipping them in other directions and stuff, and they're going in it. There's one where the guy like uses the force to reload an AK-47. There's one where like a third hand comes in and hands him the clip. There's one that's like a little magic trick where the guy goes like that and the pistol disappears and he goes like this and it's back in there. Just fun little stupid things like that. There's one where like the guy's got like an RPG. He tries to put the rocket in wrong. Just
I feel like what if they took like extra time to
and then he throws it up in the air and it goes in real cool. I mean, if you watch the videos, they're fun and they're interesting and they're funny.
I would just be that guy who, like, actually am trying to fire the rocket right now.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
based on what I've seen, I don't know if this has anything to do with when it's triggered, but it seems to be like there's nobody around, like, when it's happening.
Yeah,
so
that might be. Or it might be all the people doing the videos are just, like, taking a gun and shooting it and then reloading.
Waiting,
and just, like, waiting so that they can record.
Yeah.
No.
But, I mean, those were fun. I mean, they have, nothing to do with the game. And they, kind of take you out of it, but in a fun way, because it like doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah. Well, I always thought when it came to Battlefield or Call of Duty, I always thought Battlefield did a better job of like making it a little bit, lighter, because Call of Duty takes itself so seriously. Like everything is like the U.S. is invaded by Russia, and we're all gonna die.
There's always like nuclear bombs going off, and you have to kill civilians, and like all this stuff.
And even though I'm not a first-person shooter guru, like, it always just seemed like Battlefield, while still serious in the fact, like, it's still war, has a little bit more lighter moments than Call of Duty. So it makes sense that it's in this and not in, Advanced Warfare or whatever it is.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know if just playing the beta is enough for me to buy the game. We'll see what happens with the single player.
Yeah.
But that one mode, once I found that the Hotwire mode, that's all I played for the rest of the beta. And I just played it for hours, like, at a time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I think single-player campaign for those games is usually always
one and done.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're having, enough fun with Hotwire, that's going to be your swaying point. Because, like, single-player campaign is going to be like, yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're having a lot of fun, that'll be where you spend your time.
Yeah. Another couple fun things, too, that I just remembered is, like, there's a lot of different melee weapons that you can buy, and they have, like, special animations, like takedown animations. So, like, I bought a sledgehammer, because I thought, it's just gonna be like a sledgehammer skin on my melee weapon. It starts off like the bad guys have bats and the police have batons. So I thought it was just gonna be the same animation, the quick swipe or whatever. But because there was a sledgehammer, he had to be like, and it was like a long thing. But then when I took a guy down with it, it was really amazing. He like grabbed him by the neck and threw him down, and then like slammed it down on top of him.
Yeah.
And also, you can interrogate guys. Like, I don't know if you just have to be the cops or not, but what it is I don't know if you have to do a melee takedown too. That's just the only times where I got the prompt for that. But if you interrogate a guy after you kill him or take him down, then you can see where the other team is for a while. Like, they all pop up on your mini
so it
map.
just shows up on your...
Yeah, so it's like if you had like a drone, like a UAV drone or something. But yeah, you can interrogate somebody to get intel real quick, and then for like, a minute now, you can see everybody on the mini map.
That's a good perk.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like realize that you're surrounded.
Yeah. Oh, another video too I saw was so you can you can look at something and you can point to it, you can target it, and your guy will shout out loud or your guy will point at it. I for some reason I kept flicking off a guy. I don't know how I got that thing, but there's a box of donuts in one of the maps, and if you click on it, they're like, donut sided, fucking delicious donuts right over here, because there's like all these like cop jokes if you're the cops and you do it. So that's just another funny thing. I don't know.
Classic.
Those guys having a good time. Also, there's a necromorph patch because they're the guys that made Dead Space, and it just makes me sad because I wish they were making Dead Space and not this. Even though it seems like they're doing a decent job with it.
I'll go back to it one day.
Yeah,
they're going back to Mass Effect.
I think Dead Space is dead. Yeah. Well, I mean, we could talk. There's some Mass Effect news, right?
Yeah. It just makes me sad.
Yeah. So they hired an online.
Yeah,
person,
it's going to have some
producer,
some sort of online component, which isn't anything new. Mass Effect 3 had online.
Right.
It's just what...
It didn't specify if it was multiplayer or not, but they're assuming it's probably going to be.
Yeah, it's always what to the extent. Obviously, I don't think EA, which now owns BioWare, is going to release a game for the rest of their life that doesn't have some sort of multiplayer.
Right, because that's how you sell DLC.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were to like get a hold and be like, "Hey, you're gonna make a My Little Ponies game for children," they'll be like, "Well,
it's got to have microtransactions.
It's got to have microtransactions, and it's got to have a deathmatch mode that we can shoehorn in."
So going back to Mass Effect 3, have you played any of the multiplayer?
No.
So the multiplayer for that is cooperative multiplayer. So I think it's 4 guys, right? It's 4 people. And you're fighting. You're fighting waves of enemies, and there's different perks and there's different classes and all that stuff. But one of the cool things is for like some of the achievements, it's like, you have an option.
Yeah, you
how
can
to
do
get
this
it.
in single
so
player,
it's like
or you can do this in
so it's like you can get to level 50 in single player, or you can get to level 20 in multiplayer.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. I think more games should do that. Where if it gives you both, it gives you the option. Like if I just want to play single player, I don't want to have to play 1,000 death matches to get that one achievement.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine with how Mass Effect 3 did it.
Yeah,
like achievement wise, and that it's not just like a first person shooter deathmatch. What my problem is completely, obviously there's no way I can prove it. Is how much time did they spend on multiplayer that they took away from single player?
I think it was a different studio. I don't know if it was a different studio, but it was a different division. It was like not the same guys that did the single player.
Yeah.
So because, obviously that's still resources and money, but...
Because when I look at, everything I played through Mass Effect 3, it's just like, yeah, it's really got a nice polish, but because, they've dumbed it down so much, and we've talked about that from 2 and 1... I attribute that to be like, well, that's because they wanted multiplayer.
I think they were just trying to make it more accessible, and they were just trying to get rid of like RPG elements and all that stuff. They're trying to make it a mass appeal game.
Yeah, and for that they succeeded, and I'm sure that they're happy with the results.
Yeah.
But me as a grumpy old man who plays video games for myself and not for a 12-year-old boy to do a teabag on me,
right?
I'm just like, okay, you've dumbed down the game that I purchased the other 2 for, to make this streamlined version that's very EA and has multiplayer. And then I'm just like, well, okay, I'll play it, but I won't be happy about it.
Yeah.
Any more for Battlefield? Hard penis?
No, I don't think so. I just wish... I don't know. Like, I think the campaign is going to be different and fun. Like, it looks different. Just based on the 5 or 6 videos that I've seen about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you've seen the 5 or 6 levels that are in the campaign.
Yeah, exactly. But I just had fun playing it. So I feel like I'm kind of away from the point of like buying the games just to play them online.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of getting away from the first-person shooter multiplayer experience. I mean, and I'm going to get Halo 5 when that comes out, so that'll,
take your Battlefield
that'll
itch.
scratch that itch, because I am sure they're going to come out at the same time.
Well, when's Battlefield supposed to come out? Do you know?
I don't know, man. They always come out at, fall.
Yeah. I feel like for some reason, I feel like they're farther along for Battlefield than
they
normal.
definitely are.
So I was like, maybe it's supposed to...
It was supposed to come out last fall.
Yeah.
They wanted to annualize the Battlefield series, and it was supposed to come out last November.
Yeah.
And they didn't finish it. So I'm sure it probably comes out in, like, June or something.
Okay.
But, okay, I don't know. Maybe I'll get it.
I'm not trying to talk you into it either way.
know.
Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to get it.
I know you're not going to get it. I was just thinking back to, like, playing Battlefield 3 with David. That was a lot of fun. And I wish I still had that, situation, but I don't. Like, I don't have anybody else to play with.
Yeah.
All the guys I used to play with just don't play anymore or don't have an Xbox One. So...
You're going to have to start sending out you're going to have to start forum posting, like, friends wanted.
No, I mean,
Must be
that's the thing.
Cool
like,
dude, extra chill.
I put up all these walls. That's the thing. Like, I don't want people to know I'm online. I don't like people to send me messages. Even people that I make friends with. Like, there's plenty of people that I was friends with online that I would always play games with, but slowly I would alienate myself from them and not want them to, like, because it was like, it got to the point where, like, if I signed online, I would get like 4 or 5 messages or party invites.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was just like constantly, appearing offline. And so now I've gotten to the point where I don't have any friends.
So you got to start appearing online.
I know.
You still don't. I don't know how you do it, because you can't set that to auto do.
You can for Xbox One.
Okay, because I know 360 you couldn't.
No, and
You'd
so
have
I
to,
had
like,
it
either be super quick and turn it off before you sign in, or have it auto sign in a guest.
Yeah, I turned off auto sign in for my 360, and I go into the menu and do appear offline before I sign in, and then it does it.
So much extra work.
Yeah, just to avoid people that want to play games with me, and then I complain that I have nobody to play games with.
Yep. Perfect.
So life is strange, isn't it?
I don't want to do that one next.
Okay.
I want to save those for the end. I'll talk about another game that's super quick.
Uh-huh.
It's this game called Elemental, but instead of the A, it's a 4.
Is it the 4th one?
No.
How does the 4 play in the series, then?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Well, because there's 4 elements. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, there's 5 elements. I mean, we've all seen that documentary.
Well, in this one, it's only 4.
Okay.
It is a game that is all about flow and not the progressive saleswoman.
That's what I was going to say.
But, so it's... I almost want to say it's a race, but it's a race against yourself.
So life.
You go from left to right. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down. But what the thing is it's all about mastering what element you need to be when, so that you can freely flow from left to right to get to the end goal. So let me try and explain that better.
Uh-huh.
So your 4 elements that you can be, and you have to unlock each one, but that's literally the first 4 levels. You start off as air, your little air bubble. By pressing, there's only like an action button, right? So by pressing action button, like your air bubble, you can float a little up and to the right. And then up and to the right. Like every time you push it, it's just a little bit higher. You have like a set amount of energy usage, and it refills. But obviously, like, the more you use it, it goes down. So, as air, you can just kind of float. But obviously, you can't stay in air forever. And then it'll drop. If you hit a wall or if you hit ground, it pops. Or if you hit an obstacle. And then you have to go back to your checkpoint. Then you unlock ice. You unlock ice, which is their water. And ice allows you to slide, obviously, because ice is slippery.
Yep.
So, like, if you're about to hit the ground, you can switch to ice, and then if it's like a hill, you can slide downhill, and, if it ramps up, something like that. Or, if you're going to just hit the wall and you don't want to die, you can switch to ice real quick and then just kind of bounce. Then you get rock, which is earth, and earth is heavy, so it can gain momentum while falling. So a lot of things, like if I explain a puzzle where it's like you have to get a certain amount of air off of a ramp. to clear, the ramp.
Uh-huh.
So you start off as air, and maybe you get
up high
as high as possible, and then you switch to rock to slam down the hill, and right before you hit the ground, you switch to ice, and then you just slide over the ramp.
Yeah.
And then once you're in the air, maybe you switch back to air to
get higher,
push a little higher. So that's kind of how it works. You also get fire, which is the last one. Fire allows you to bounce off of walls if you're about to hit
like
something. Like fire does.
Yeah. And
also it propels you forward, but it also uses the most energy. So you can kind of use that to gain some momentum. It's hard to understand.
No, I think
explaining it.
Yeah, I think I got it.
But so every level is literally just get from point A to point B.
Now, if you mess up, do you start over? Is it one of those games where you keep dying and you have to keep doing the same little level over and over and over until you do it perfectly?
No. There's checkpoints in each level, and the checkpoints are pretty nicely spaced. So if you figure out that big one, you hit that big ramp.
Yeah.
Pretty much at the end of that ramp is another checkpoint, so you don't have to do that again. And pretty much at the start of that ramp is a checkpoint, so if you can't make it, you just start around that area. So it's pretty good spacing in terms of if you F up. Why do I
don't know.
always
I did that too,
myself
yeah.
at first. If you fuck up, it's fun to say. Then you don't have to go back too far. But it does get frustrating because sometimes you're just I don't know what to do. And if you ever get to that point where you die a lot, you can hit a help key, which literally shows you a ghost image.
Oh, really?
The person playing the game.
That's almost too helpful, I feel.
And it shows you when to switch and what they did to get to a point. Obviously, you don't have to follow that. And sometimes they're super good. They're switching like crazy sauce, and you're I can't do that anyway. It's fun. It's got a good soundtrack. It's pretty generic looking. I want to post pictures of it, but every picture I take, I'm just this looks like all of them. There's no distinguishing image to take. It just photographs terribly. Because without motion, you can't really tell that this game's any fun. So it's interesting. I got it for pretty cheap. But I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
That's my hard sell is it's fun, it's unique, because it's really all about... What sold me is because the description was it's just flowing from one thing to another. So it's just it's all about just maintaining momentum and solving puzzles, because there's no time limit. Okay. It could take you 45 minutes to do a level. You're just going to get a bronze star on that level. So it's all just about figuring out puzzles, but at the same time, all the puzzles are just how do I get from point A to point B? How do I hit this ramp? How do I get fast enough to go through?
How many levels are there?
I haven't beaten it. I've done maybe 15, and it's still going.
Yeah.
I only play maybe 2 levels at a time, because then I get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because it started, Caitlin played it, and I was oh, this will be a fun little game. It's only 4 buttons, up is air and down is blah, 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 and you just switch between them. But, just that, mental, I need to do this, this, and this, this, and this, is, it's more strenuous than just a Caitlin game.
Yeah.
Because it's fast-paced, and it's not making mistakes, and there's a lot of discipline there. I like showing it to people if they come over, but I necessarily wouldn't recommend it for people to buy, unless what I said sounds amazing to you.
Yeah. While you were talking, though, I thought of a couple different other little tangents to go on.
Okay.
One, they've talked about this for a while, but they're going to add screenshots to the Xbox One.
Yep.
So, you can record video right now, but now you can... The other option, whenever it comes out, it's in beta right now, is recording a screenshot.
Yep.
Which is good for us, because then I can participate a little bit more in the Twitter thing without having to use my cell phone.
Yeah, well, I use my cell phone for the 360. So.
Yeah. So that'll be nice. But also, what do you think of the video of Saints Row? Because you hadn't seen what it looked like.
It was great, because I like how it starts with me with an invisible thing in a headlock.
Yeah.
And then it's just running back and forth, and at some point I'm just laying on the ground a lot.
Yeah, because you kept getting hit, and it just looked really funny, though.
And I imagined when I was talking to you and just being getting frustrated because you can't help me get up because you can't see anybody or hit anybody.
Right.
And then so I'm just but at the same time, there's 8 of them and 1 of me.
Or when there's floating hockey sticks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Just I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
But it was a good video.
Yeah, I had like 5 minutes of it, but that was just a little chunk that I pulled out.
5 minutes might be a little much.
Yeah, because I couldn't do anything. I'm like, I'll just record this, I guess.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yep. Should I talk about another game?
Or I can talk about another. It's your call.
All right. So I played iDarb. It draws a red box. The game that I talked about on the David episode. Is that when I talked about it?
Sure.
Anyways, I talked about it a while ago. And it's free this month on the Xbox One, which is great because I probably would have bought it anyways. And it's the same guys that made Super Time Force. And so it's the same sort of 8-bit style, which is great. And it sort of has the same humor, too. I actually really enjoyed the humor in this game a lot more than, like, Sunset Overdrive, which is kind of funny. But, I mean, the game is very basic. So what it is, I think they called it, like, space soccer. You can't play soccer in space.
I think we can sue them for that.
But what it is, so there's 2 goals. It's a like a platforming sort of level, right? So there's a bunch of levels, there's a bunch of little platforms, and then there's 2 goals on each side. And the point is, there's a little ball. And the point is to put the ball
through the goal.
Through the goal.
Yeah.
And you get different points based on how far away you are from the goal when you shoot it. So there's little like rings, like there would be like a 3-point line. So there's like, I think if you run it all the way in the goal, it's 1 point. 2 points are if you throw it from anywhere, like, then there's a 3-point line and there's a 5-point line, which is like if you do it from more than half court, you get 5 points. Plus you get bonuses for if you bounce it off of things or if you alley-oop it to your teammates because you can pass it and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's 4 rounds and the point is just to score as many points as you can. And you can play up to 4 people on each team. So it's, either
Hectic.
1v1 to up to 4v4. When it's 4v4, it's just crazy sauce. You're constantly just jumping and pushing buttons and doing whatever, and it kind of gets crazy. Now, to add to the craziness, there's also things they call hash bombs, where randomly things will happen in your game. Or you can do it because it's completely integrated into Twitter, because this whole game came from Twitter suggestions.
Yeah.
Is there's a little scroll at the bottom of their Twitter thing and whatever, and it changes in real time. But it tells you up in the corner what your room code is. So if you hashtag that room code, if you like @tweet the game and hashtag that, you can then control the hash bombs in the game, or you can do different things. One of the things they do actually is, I think, a really creative achievement, which is you can summon an achievement bot. So what you have to do is you have to go to your name and your little hashtag thing, and you just do, I think you type in like achievement or something, and a little bot will come in, and then you get an achievement. So that's it's just one achievement. It's like a really creative, interesting thing, and I've never seen anything like that before.
It's weird, because you'd think, with as hectic as I imagine it is, like, to then switch to Twitter to go quickly, like,
well,
there to be zombies.
I'm assuming it has to be somebody else would be doing
watching it.
Because another thing it does is it can, if you turn it on, it automatically live streams your game, so anybody can watch it. So whether or not you're just playing with your friends or you're playing online and stuff, if you turn on that feature, it anybody can watch it.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's when the hash bombs come in, because you can do crazy things. Like one, it's like, my favorite one is where everything turns into clowns. All of a sudden it gets all crazy, and all the colors are all like pink and red and stuff, and then all the characters are clowns.
Of course.
There's ones where it's like you get super dizzy, so your controls are switched. There's one called like All Aboard the Puke Train, and it just zooms in and zooms out really fast with the map, so you can't see what's happening, and you get like motion sick.
Yeah.
The level fills up with water. There's like 20 balls all of a sudden, and you don't know which one's the real ball, so you have to just keep shooting them in the goals or keep passing them until you get the right thing.
So let me pause for a second. The controls for this game. Here are my specifics. Does the ball, like when you run into it, does it automatically pick it up?
Yeah, it sticks to you.
Okay. And then when you pass it or shoot it, is it just a direction? You pick like up A to pass up, or is it like pass it in and automatically goes towards the person?
No. Okay. So so you have your little character, right? And you can run and jump. And there's a double jump. But there's a little white little box. It's just one little pixel, but that shows where you're aiming.
Okay.
So you can move it around and you can aim, like you can have precision aim. But if you hold B, which is the pass button, it'll show you like where you can pass it. It'll have like a little dotted line of like, hey, this is where you're aiming, this is where you're going to pass it. Okay. So it kind of gives you that guide, but you don't have time to everything happens so quickly.
You don't have actually time to like set up
that you just aim
like
and you pass it and it bounces around and it's crazy. Another thing you have is like your trigger button, which is also your shoot button, but it kind of makes this little pulse around you sort of thing. So like if somebody's trying to pass it on the other team, you can just do the little pulse and it'll kind of knock it around. Like you can try to grab it if you want to get like a perfect like interception. Yeah. But if you can't quite get there, you can just kind of basically swat it away. And there actually was a sort of a single player story, which is kind of just a tutorial. But it was like, okay, it's like you're one guy, and then you play other people, right? And then it's like you have this dialogue back and forth. It's just text based because they're all. So the first team I played was the Mustache Cops. It was the guys from Miami Vice. No, it was the guy from Miami Vice. So it was like guy with the Hawaiian shirt and mustache. They're called Mustache Cops. Was the name of their team. And then after I beat the Mustache Cops, so one of the Mustache Cops was on my team now, and then we went and fought other people, which was like your mom. It was like they're telling you it's like 4 women, and they're all like moms, and they're telling you what to do. You're like, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my mom. You're like, yeah, we are your mom. We're everyone's mom. And then it's just like your mom is basically on your team then.
Okay.
And then after that, we fought like breakfast cereal. There was like bacon and eggs and a cup of coffee. And then I don't know if you saw the picture. The cup of coffee was then on my team, and he was amazing. Like he really just changed the atmosphere in the locker room. Like it really was just a different culture all around.
You still playing one character, then the cup of coffee's computer controlled, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts off kind of crazy.
You didn't get that MVP.
No, it was not me, dude. He was doing everything. He doesn't talk either. He's the only character that doesn't talk.
That's weird.
But the bacon and the eggs talk. Just the coffee
makes sense.
I think.
Bacon came from a pig. Pigs can talk.
That's the first time you play that team. It's like a bacon. It's like a pig and all this other thing. The next time you fight them, then it's like bacon,
eggs,
and eggs. Yeah.
Cup of coffee.
But yeah, I mean, it was silly. It was fun. All the humor, like I said, was pretty funny. I didn't describe your mom thing, but just little things like that, and the Mustache Cops, and like you can create characters and stuff. So you can do like any character you want, you can create. Then there's QR codes. So people make them online, and then it gives you a QR code, and you can just download those. So like I downloaded the first day, I downloaded like all the like Marios and Luigis and like Pokemon characters and like Jurassic Park characters, and just anything people can make and think of. And you can also do that with music too. So I did like Michael Jackson songs and like all this other fun stuff that you can just have playing. It's like an 8-bit versions of it, but it's like also, so there's an announcer that's going on the whole time, and he's just crazy shouting all the time. But he says anytime you score, he will say a quote from a movie or a TV show or a video game or a song lyric or something ridiculous.
That doesn't apply to the situation?
No, like the first goal I scored, he was like, I can't fight this feeling anymore. There was one that says, this is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps, which I don't know if you know that quote, but it's from The Big Lebowski. It's from the edited version of The Big Lebowski. So in the movie, he keeps saying, do you see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass? Yeah. And the edited version is
when you find
when you find a stranger in the Alps.
Yeah.
So he says things like that. I mean, he said probably 6 or 7 things that I was like, oh my God, that's like hilarious. But I'm forgetting them right now.
I hope that's how you were sitting there and you didn't laugh. You just said out loud.
That's hilarious.
Like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And then you just kept playing the whole time with no laughter.
But it was fun, and it's very simple. It's the one thing that I don't love though is the fact that if you play online, you have to. There's no AI characters. It's just based on like what you have. So basically, it's all just like 1v1 matches. Because like if I want to go online, if I don't have other people in the room playing with me, it's going to just find a team of 1, which it was doing.
Sucks.
So that was kind of like no point of doing that. I don't know if there's a way around that.
Randomly assign somebody to your team.
No, at least not right now, or at least not what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a free game, and there is a lot there. It's $15 if you don't get it for free. But I mean, this is another great like fun party game. Like, this would be really fun to play with a bunch of guys in one room.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. It reminds me just how you were kind of describing like 8-bit and how it aims and stuff like that. There's a game called Rocket Riot that essentially you play as weird 8-bit characters that have a rocket instead of a butt.
Yeah.
And there's, weird ones like Santa Claus and, Frankenstein and all these weird things. And it's just like you could fly around. You have that little box to aim and you're just shooting rockets and trying to kill everybody.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have anything to do with that. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But
another thing is because there's a penalty box, because that was one of the things people suggested. So if you commit a foul, I don't exactly know what they are. Sometimes I feel you can like ground pound on somebody's head and knock them out, and if you do that too many times, or if you stand inside the goalie, there's like a 3-second violation. Then you go in the penalty box, which is underneath the level, and there's like a timer on your screen. But if you jump up, you can create little spikes on the level, and if somebody touches those spikes, then you switch places with them. So it's just another fun, like crazy, like whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like that'd be great to just have like tournaments at home.
Yeah,
where it's just like like you said, like you and a couple buddies, and you're necessarily not taking it online, but if you're playing like 2-on-2 and just like keep switching up the teams, like that'd be.
I think like 2-on-2 or like 3-on-3 is like the sweet spot. Yeah. Like the most fun I had was when I was playing through the campaign, because you slowly build more and more, where I had 2 people on my team and the other team had 3 people.
Yeah,
and that worked really well because it was like me and 1 AI guy against 3 of their AI guys, and it was kind of balanced.
But so worth it? Super worth it?
Super, I mean...
$15 worth it?
No. Okay. No. Unless if you're going to play this all the time, unless if you really like creating characters and creating logos and music and all that stuff, you can get a lot out of this game. But I think this is like a $5 game. Okay. $5 to $7 game.
So right now, it's February's free game?
February's free game on Xbox One.
So you guys have about 2 weeks when this comes out to go download it.
Yeah.
If you're interested at all. So get it
now.
But
it's just fun.
Yeah. And it's certainly something like watching a couple videos on it and then seeing like the screenshots and just hearing you describe like, this would be amazing to play because it's unique, and B, it's like just fast-paced fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not convoluted. It's like, it's a sports game, but there's like 2 rules.
Yeah,
like,
just get the ball in the goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, that would be a lot of fun. It'd be, of course, with any game that like you take online, it'd always be like, how good are people going to get at this?
Yeah, I don't know.
That would scare me. If like all of a sudden it's like me and you, we're playing, and I come over, you bring your Xbox One, and we play, and then also we're just playing people who have like set plays. Right. They're just like, if I throw the ball out here, it's going to bounce off of this, this, and this, and it's going to land here, which is where you're going to be for the alley-oop. And you're just like, fuck you.
But that would be amazing if you could actually pull that off. I think it's a little bit too crazy to be able to do that. Obviously, there's skill involved. And like, I don't know if I uploaded a video. It was the first game I was playing. It was me versus the 2 mustache cops.
I saw the
and it was like at the very end, and we hadn't scored yet. And it's like I went all the way around the map, and I passed it to myself. Just me passing to myself, that little thing was like, oh my god, it was so much fun. It just felt so satisfying.
Yeah.
And there's also 2 types of platforms. There's purple and there's white. The purple ones you can pass and jump through. The white ones you can't. So there's also a little bit of strategy there. Yeah. And I think right now there's only the 1 level, but that's all there needs to be.
Yeah, I mean,
they changed the background and stuff. Another thing, because somebody suggested ads. They're like, can there be ads? I love ads. In the Twitter thing, there's just random ads at the bottom of the screen. There's like 3 little boxes, and it keeps rotating throughout the game, and it advertises both real companies that don't exist anymore, and just made up stuff.
I hate the person who suggested it.
I know.
Like, I know they did it sarcastically.
Yeah, but they put everything they could in the game. Yeah. And that's one of the things. And
like,
that's why it's funny.
Oh my god, we can put ads in it.
Yeah.
Somebody suggested it, so we are out. We escape it.
Out of our hands.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. At some point, we need to play it together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I'm done. If that's what you're asking? Yeah.
Fucking yeah. That's what I'm asking. All right. I'll be quick on this next one, and then I'll go to Life is Strange.
Okay.
Grim Fandango came out with its big remaster.
Yep.
People have been downloading it. People have been playing it. People have been enjoying it. It's the same Grim Fandango that people know and love.
Now, before you get into your in-depth review,
Sure.
did you play the original? I feel like you said this was one of the games that you ended up missing.
This is one of the games I ended up missing because my computer at the time
couldn't run it
that well. Because this is still LucasArts, still Adventure Game World.
Yeah.
But this is one of 2 3D adventure games.
What?
They came out with Grim Fandango and then Escape from Monkey Island. I eventually, of course, went and played Escape from Monkey Island.
Yeah.
And struggled while it churned, and you could hear the gears in my computer.
Yeah.
And Grim Fandango was, I think, after that, or maybe before it. I don't know.
I think
one
it was
of the two. But Grim Fandango, for whatever reason, did not run as well, and I was just like, oh well.
Yeah.
I hated that was the worst Monkey Island game, the one that they made 3D.
Yeah.
And I was just like, maybe this one's gonna be the same thing. So a long time ago, I played a demo. Ages ago, and made it through like the first world, but it just never grabbed me. Caitlin wanted to play this one though, because she heard from her high school days, her friends loved it, so we got it. It's fun. I mean, it's your classic adventure game. They do some things for people who are normally a fan of adventure games. It's no longer like hunting and pecking with your mouse. Like, there's no hotspots.
Yeah.
You walk your character with a directional pad, and then he will slightly turn his head towards points of interest, and then you can interact.
How do you feel about that?
It's a terrible system.
Okay.
Worst system ever made in adventure games, because when you're looking for like an item or to interact with something, and he's just looking in a certain direction, you don't know what he's looking at.
Yeah, because from the perspective of where you are, you can't really exactly
tell. Because it's a static camera, so like you go into a room and Manny's running around the room. Manny's the main character. And so the camera's not moving, it's not following him. So if he's getting farther away from the camera, or like looking towards the camera, like you don't know what he's looking at, and you just have to rely on like hit the button and he'll go and look at it or explain what it is, which is great. Same time, like if you're trying to use something in particular, it gets frustrating if all of a sudden he's looking at something behind that, and once you hit, use or whatever it is, he goes running past what you're trying to use, and then goes give you a long spiel about like, I can't go this way, or something dumb, whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Also, inventory system's awful. Most games, adventure games, you hit the inventory button, it just, each piece of inventory is just represented by an icon, and then you just, click what you want. This one, it zooms in, and he's like pulling the things out of his jacket, which is funny. Like, haha, he's carrying all these things in his jacket, but it's one item at a time.
So it gets super old.
And so, like, he pulls out, like, let's say you're looking for, I don't know, whatever, a piece of bread. Mm-hmm. And so first pulls out, like, this item, and you're like, nope. So then he puts that back in, and then goes to the next one in line.
Oh, that sounds
And so you have to
awful.
do that until you get the item you want.
And what if you miss it? Because you're busy hitting the button so many times, and it goes past it, and you got to start over.
There's a couple times, like, we were using the Xbox controller, and the joystick got stuck. So he's flying, and Caitlin's like, I can't stop him. And it's just like, he's jacking off the inside of his shirt or something. Again, that's a terrible system. Anyway, what I want to get to, for all the remasters that have happened, they spent the least amount of time on this remaster. And it upsets me.
I didn't even know it was a remaster. I thought it was just a straight port re-release.
No, so they remastered it. They smoothed out the textures of Manny. Because obviously it's a 90s 3D game. So like normally it's very chunky and it looks bad. And there's, pointy polygons that are coming out of people's heads and sides and stuff like that. So what they did is they took Manny and they kind of smoothed him out because he's the main character. So he looks a little bit better. They changed the backgrounds. They look nicer, like shadows play into parts. All that stuff. But the rest of the game is left the same as it was in the 90s.
Really?
So
that's considered a remaster? It's just changing the main character?
So, like, the first or the second character you meet is this big D-man who essentially becomes your driver. He's huge, and there's no, like, clipping problems in the 90s because, like, it didn't matter if polygons went through each other.
Yeah.
But he's so big that anytime he, like, talks or bends over, like, his stomach goes into his legs and, like, his arms, like...
You can see through him for a second.
It looked like, in the 90s, it's fine. Because it's a new time. You don't know how 3D works, whatever. Now, even with my rose-colored glasses, I'm just like, this should have been fixed. This looks terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the soundtrack's still good, the story's still good, the puzzles are still good. Like, all the nooks and crannies that make the game are fine, and they don't need it to be changed. But it's like, if you're going to make this a remaster, they changed, like, 2 things, and they added developer commentary. You can enable commentary, and then you can listen while you're playing the game. You can listen to,
which is obviously not something you want to do the first time you play.
Exactly. And you can listen to, the people talk about, like, how they made it, how they came up with stuff. That's supposedly, everything I've heard is, like, this is great commentary. Like, make sure to play it again to listen to this, because they have some real great insight.
Yeah.
But I feel like, especially if we're even just talking the Monkey Island remasters, or LucasArts remasters, they did a lot for the first 2 Monkey Islands.
Yeah.
Where they essentially put
redid
a whole new game on top of it, where you can switch back to the old one. You can compare and contrast.
Used like the story, the sound files, all that stuff, but then they put a new visual.
Yeah, and that was kind of what I was expecting.
That's what you sort of consider a remaster, especially a game like that, where it's like, if you think that if they're going to spend time and money on anything, it would be that. Maybe they're like, people love this game so much, we can re-release it and everyone will still buy it, which is what it seems like that's what happened.
Everyone, like Craig loved it, and obviously he's not the teller of the world, but like everyone loved this because this was the last great adventure game, and that's why I bought it for sure. And they knew they were going to get those sales, but at the same time, I feel like it's almost worse that they took something that everybody loves and they put less work into it.
Right.
Like, you'd want to take this and you'd want to be like, I know you guys all love the original. Look how much work we put in to make this.
If they did a bunch of those little small things, people would maybe not even notice. Like, because, when you see something back then when you're a kid and all, it's not just when you're a kid, but like, you always think the graphics the current graphics are always the best ever. Then in 10 years from now, you sort of, recreate them in the more current graphics sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like when you look back at older games, they're always a lot worse than you remember them. You always remember them being better graphically.
Because at the time, that was the high point.
Right.
So you look at it and you're just like, oh my god, we actually have 3D polygons.
Right. But like I said, but then when you look back at it, you're like, oh my god, it was like, there was like cell shading, there was all this fun stuff, but then there really wasn't.
Yeah.
You just sort of, your mind has sort of added stuff to it.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they would have fixed all those problems, people would have been like, oh, they haven't really done much, but that in a good way. Like they made the game what it should have been.
That's exactly like, if you make it look great and maybe people don't notice it, it's still
good. Yeah. That's what you should have done.
Then like not doing a lot, and then at least I notice like
that they didn't do anything.
This doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
It's interesting because you have the nostalgia of that era of their other games, but you haven't specifically played this game. And I feel like that's the only way you can truly review it. Because all the people I feel like that are reviewing it now are the people that loved it back then, and that's why it's getting 9s and 10s.
Yeah. It's certainly not a 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I mean, we've played a lot of it. Some of the, it's also tough to say because I know the era.
Yeah.
And I know adventure games. If you were to say, if this is the first adventure game I played, I'd be like, the puzzles don't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I ever combine A to B? You just wouldn't think about that. But then if you, like, at least me, I can enter adventure game mode.
Right.
Where, like, it's like, try everything with everything. It's always been the rule when you didn't have FAQs, because you're like, I need to solve this puzzle. I have 10 inventory items. I'll just try each item individually on the puzzle.
Pops,
and then I'll be like, oh, that's weird. But now it makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my Grim Fandango technique, is when Caitlin gets frustrated, she might just pass the controller to me, and then I'll do the tedious, like, try A to A to B, A to C, until something finally clicks. So if I'm looking at it for the first time, I'm saying, like, this doesn't make sense. You would have to play this game with almost an FAQ for when you get stuck.
Yeah.
And because of the graphics, like, the remaster, I wouldn't call this a remaster. Like, I think that's false advertising.
Yeah.
They should just say, like, re-released Grim Fandango.
So, let's say you've never played the game before.
Yeah.
Let's say you're, 15 to 30, but you've never played this game before. Would you recommend it?
yes, but with a caveat.
Okay.
It would have to be... I would only recommend this to people who are adventure game fans. This is not...
Just for the historical reasons of it?
Well, I'd say this isn't a jumping off point for people who want to know if they like adventure games.
Oh, yeah. No, that certainly wouldn't, convert someone into adventure
exactly.
games.
Like, I like, this isn't a good one where it's just like, this is for the masses. I would say, like, if you like adventure games... Yeah, you'll like this. The story's great. The voice acting's great. It's got the humor that it always had. Like, all that stuff's fine. But if you're like, I want to like adventure games, what's a good one to play? I wouldn't start with Grim Fandango. Personally, of course, I would always go a Monkey Island game because I think the humor and it lends itself better, and the puzzles kind of make more sense.
And the remaster is actual remaster.
And the remasters are actual remasters. Yeah. And you can play it with a controller and blah, 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 blah. So that's my review. I would say, if you like adventure games, yes, get it. If you don't, find another game to first see if you like the genre.
Yeah.
And then jump into it. Should I go into the last one?
Sure.
Life is Strange. I know you're trying to segue into that.
I know. It was a perfect transition, and I didn't take it.
So Life is Strange is, for those that are unaware, is Square Enix. Their version of Telltale's...
Right. It's an episodic
adventure
game.
Story game, whatever. Only the first episode is out.
Yep. Of 5, correct?
I believe there's 5.
Yeah, because that seems to be standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telltale kind of set the bar, and then everyone's just following that. You play as a character, Max, I believe her name is. Yes. You are a female girl in college.
She looks like she's like a
high school college.
Or like middle.
It's either a very nice high school.
Yeah.
Or it's a very nice college.
Right.
Because there's not that many students.
Yeah.
But there's a dorm, so it has to be college.
Well, I mean, it could be like a boarding school, but yeah.
And so you start off, like, I will spoil only the plot that needs to be spoiled.
Okay. Because I was looking at this game, I was thinking about it, just because it's an episodic game, it's, whatever, and it's one of the fewer newer games on Xbox One. But I'm just saying, like, I'm listening intently on what you're saying, because I might play it.
Sure. So you start off, you're in class, you wake up from, like, a weird dream, you don't understand it. Anyway, you're in class, there's, you go from class to the bathroom where you witness a murder.
Murder?
A murder. You're in the girls' bathroom. A guy comes in. You hide. He's freaking out.
So you probably don't see it. You just see that.
It's so there's stalls, right?
Right. You just like see feet and blood and.
Yeah, but you hear him talking, and he's freaking out, and then you hear another girl come in.
Like you know what happens, but you didn't see it.
No, you see it.
Oh, you saw it. Okay.
Yeah, you see it. Like you visually see it.
Okay.
And so this guy has a gun. He's freaking out, whatever. And this girl comes in and like essentially like calls him a pussy and all that stuff. And he pulls out the gun and whatever. The gun goes off. He shoots the girl in the stomach, but your girl, the main character, essentially like reaches out. It's like no, and then all of a sudden,
stupidest thing you could do.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're back in class.
So it's Final Destination.
It's kind of Final Destination.
Yeah. Very low stakes Final Destination.
And that's when you kind of realize that you have this power where you can rewind time. And that's kind of the mechanic for how you play a lot of the game.
Do you have control over
it?
Okay.
You can use it at almost any moment for no reason at all.
So you can just keep doing the same moment
for
over
instance,
and over and over.
The first, and this isn't a spoiler again, you're in class, teacher asks you a question. Obviously, the first time you played the game, you don't know the right answer.
Yeah.
Right? So then this other girl makes fun of you, and then, like your arch rival, the pretty one.
You go and stab her in the face because you can just rewind time.
Yeah. So then, like, she makes you look like an idiot. The second time, now that you have these rewind powers, one of the dialogue choices is now the right answer. So you can say the right answer to the question, and now you look like a smart person. For any dialogue, what's kind of cool is, like, let's say you say something to somebody and then they correct you or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the teacher, you can rewind just that dialogue.
Right.
Start that dialogue over, and now there's more dialogue choices.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like...
also, it's interesting because a game with choices, it's like, I want to see what all the choices are rather than playing the game 4 or 5 times. You're like, oh, I'm just going to keep choosing each choice and then decide what to do.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So a lot of those little choices, I don't know if they really affect much.
Probably
like the
not.
dialogue stuff is just like, oh, the teacher likes you more. It doesn't even say that up top. There's no like,
oh, she'll remember that.
yeah, there's no that. Like Telltale probably patented that.
Yeah.
But then at big moments, there is text at the top that says like, this is a major decision. What you do / say will affect the outcome. So you get this kind of warning. And it's always kind of in these set moments where, like, you can like replay it a couple times, however many you want to rewind, and then once you leave that room,
then it's
is
set
when
in
it
stone.
saves.
Okay.
So, like, the first one is you're talking to the principal, and you can either report that you saw this guy with the gun, or say you saw nothing. And it tells you, like, this is going to have a major impact. So, you know, the first time, you know, we pick one answer. And then I was just like, oh, I don't like how he responded to me. So I'm going to rewind it and I'll pick a different answer. And I'm like, oh, I also don't like how he responded to me. This principal's kind of an ass.
Wait,
but then,
what? Yeah, is all the answers wrong except for one? Is that
no?
well,
So
it is? Or is he always just an asshole?
He's just kind of always an asshole.
Yeah.
So then you just have to decide, like, which one am I going to save and go on with?
Yeah.
And then you leave the room and then it saves. And then you can't rewind back to that room. Other than that, I mean, like, it's interesting. It has a nice, interesting take on especially the episodic where you do have this rewind power, so you can kind of hear conversations and really choose what answer you want.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, granted, you don't know how one answer is going to play into episode 4. But like
if
the little stuff. Like the little stuff of like, oh, I'm going to give this apple to this starving kid. This isn't a choice. And then you realize the kid throws it on the ground and stomps on it. You can be like, rewind, I'm going to give that starving apple to somebody else.
And like sometimes the text doesn't always convey the tone.
Yeah.
So every once in a while you'll pick something that you think is one thing and then they'll read it completely differently. You're like, oh no, I didn't mean to like yell at you for no reason.
I didn't mean to stab you in the stomach.
Yeah.
So as a whole, I'm interested to see how everything's going to pan out in 2 through 5. Because episode 1 it's interesting, but it's not a game changer.
Yeah,
like it doesn't
seem like it's that interesting. It seems like it's one little small story that might have some interesting points, but like to compare it to any of the like Telltale games,
right now
like
it doesn't.
The premise is just like I don't know if I care.
It doesn't stack up to Wolf Among Us. It doesn't stack up to Walking Dead.
Yeah,
I haven't played obviously the
other ones,
but obviously you really love Tales from Borderlands so far.
Yeah,
and we can talk about episode 2 of Game of Thrones, but. Yeah, if you take episode 1 of any of those, I think it's the least. At least the ones I've played. Like Life is Strange is lower than Wolf Among Us episode 1 and Walking Dead episode 1. What gets me is that it's kind of like now it's the realism. So it's, I mean, Walking Dead is also realism, but it's
in the zombie universe.
In the zombie universe. So. And this, obviously, like, people can't control time.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm interested to see where it goes, because if all of a sudden something major happens that's great, then it pays off. But right now, like, just going through a girl's school life
just
with the power
seems
to
like
rewind time
I don't know what
that great.
Yeah, like, what's the end game going to be? Are you just solving this crime the entire time? Because if that's the case...
No, because you solve the crime right off the bat.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so
because you've witnessed it, and
you've witnessed it. So then you're like, I need to get back to the bathroom, and I need to save that girl. And so, like, it's happening, and there's a puzzle that you solve in the bathroom that essentially, like, I'll give it away. You pull the fire alarm, but you have to, like, break it and have no one hear you, and blah 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 blah. So, like, you pull the fire alarm so that kid leaves the bathroom and that girl leaves the bathroom, and he doesn't draw the gun yet. So, like, if you solve it, he doesn't pull the gun out, so he doesn't kill that girl. Yeah. So, essentially, it's Butterfly Effect meets Final Destination, where it's like, how are your choices going to impact the future, and what if you didn't make those choices?
It sounds like that would be a cool thing in real life, meaning that if all those choices did